I think moving on to the next discussion, one of the prime, topic everywhere is cloud. And that's what the last session for today's session is on the cloud advantage in a capital market. And to present that, we have Baksh Ogra. Baksh Ogra is a senior business solution strategist with VMware. Baksh has over 12 years of experience across consulting, architecture, solution design in banking, insurance, capital market, IT, ITES, and EDA industries. In addition, he is also member of Office of CTO as ambassador working on modern applications and fostering innovation using VMware technologies. Baksh is alumni of VJTI Mumbai, focused on vision alignment, end state solution architecture, execution plan, and deliver value to the business. He is currently helping all large financial institutions across Asia Pac region. Over to you, Baksh. Are you there?
Hey, Sheetal. Yes.
Hey, hi.
Yeah, thank you for the warm introduction.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I share my screen if that's okay?
Sure.
Okay. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So hi, good evening, everyone. I was listening in the previous conversation and pretty interesting conversation, right? So over the next 20 minutes, I'm gonna kind of give you some level setting in terms of what we see at VMware when we work with global institutions, especially in banking and more so specifically in the capital market space, especially across Asia Pacific and Japan. And if I had to pick a backdrop, this is my backdrop. We have COVID in the mind, and Sensex is all-time high, right? So I thought that was a kind of pretty evident backdrop for starting of the session today. Now, if you look at it, closely associated with Singapore fintech community, and if you see, from an end customer point of view in capital market, while we I heard about it's not just about equity. We do have to look at savings. It's also about experience. It's also about how long can we engage the end customer here. And if you see across the globe, the viewpoint we have is regulatories are taking this more and more seriously. If you read news around MAS giving more digital banking licenses to new players, and the new players are actually kind of creating partnerships with the existing players, right? So if you look at the trend globally, that's the trend we also see. The interesting part here is that organizations are also not sticking to the boundary or the geography where they operate, because depending upon the geography, you have different volumes and different pricing structures. So it's more of a global view as we see with the backdrop of all the regulators in different regions. With that in mind, if you take a step back and see, and I'm sure over the last couple of days, you all would have realized the fact that you have in capital markets, there are different type of influencers over the next 5 to 10 years. Today we are going to focus specifically on the cloud aspect, right? And I hope that the couple of days you would have got some sort of sense in terms of different other technology aspects where cloud does have a play, but not in the front end center. It's more of the back end play typically cloud has there. Now, just a level setting. I don't know the audience, and I've been told it's generally the brokers community here. So what's really a cloud, right? So in an abstract word, if you have these 6 things, you have a cloud, right? Now you might think, is cloud only with big players? Answer is no. In India, we have these community clouds, right? I'll give an example. RBI under IFTAS is also now offering core banking as a cloud, right? Now, if you're a smaller bank and you want to have core banking, you don't have the skills, you don't have the expertise to set that up, banking as a cloud, right? So cloud is something which, if these 6 things do meet, you can potentially call it as a cloud. Now, the thing here, what we have seen in the market is, okay, so if I do have cloud, what will I gain out of it, right? And there are different clouds. If you see, somebody would say it's as a service, somebody would say public cloud, somebody would say it's private cloud. But before I go there on the type of different clouds, what I kind of want to make sure we all understand is cloud give you some sense of start small and grow with that, right? Now, all the startups we see in India, everybody starts in cloud. You don't have to have, the deep pockets to have, the technology, acquisition cost you typically otherwise would have to fund before you even start your business idea, right? That's the whole notion of how we see the startup ecosystem just booming in India. But the cloud has some side effects too. I kind of kept on hearing a fact of uptime in this community, right? But if you see from it, we kind of heard initially on the cyber security aspect, right? So we need to be mindful of the regulatory compliance. Different countries now have enforcing different data laws. We also are framing one, on the tops of GDPR. So those are the different things where we need to be mindful of this when we want to kind of go ahead and explore this domain. Now, capital market, how a cloud technology is going to help you, right? I mean, if you ask me, broadly two aspects, right? So one is it'll help you reduce your cost. So if in the end, I can quote, a US pretty large organization where they could reduce 30% off from their balance sheet cost by kind of going to cloud, right? And that's the basic sense of, okay, can I reduce my cost per transaction by leveraging cloud technology, right? What it helps is it helps you free up some cost from the capital. I mean, you can then fuel that investment to do something else, right? That's the business notion for it. On the other side, on an experience side, if you have cloud and if you have no boundaries, we have seen people now doing this in terms of enhancing the experience and kind of making better business decision models, right? Now, robo advisory and within India, we've started people kind of using it, in some sense across different brokers, right? Now, but if you see, from a cloud perspective, and again, depending upon which personality or which kind of line of business you come from, let's say you're a tech guy in Zerodha and you say, what, I want to just start coding now. That's the focus, right? I want to develop. I don't care about anything else. But if you are in IT and you have to report to regulator and you want to be extra cautious, you want to say, okay, I want to leverage the best of what I have. So depending upon the kind of persona you would find in an organization, we have seen people choosing and deciding different sort of cloud, right? And cloud could be hence a private cloud, a cloud could be hence a public cloud. But the real challenge we see as VMware globally, and we've been kind of working with Indian setup for the last 10, 12 years, and we're a 22-year-old company globally, is if you do have advantages, it's even more complicated to then choose the path we should take to be successful at it, right? And that's where the real problem comes, is because if you now see cloud ecosystem is like, if I am a consumer and customer and I have 10 brokers, which broker should I choose? Now, that's the market ecosystem in cloud, right? Now, there is no one single cloud player. There are plenty. I just kind of, for an example's sake, happen to show you, the top 5, 6 ones of them. But there are regional players as well in Indian ecosystem, right? And if you see, the product essentially sits in cloud, and you simply access your product or your experience to the customer via APIs. That's the standard model, right? Now, the question here is, and I think, Nitin mentioned this, is, the hardest piece in technology is for you to be able to own the technology. And why is that the hardest part we see is the skill and the talent, right? And retaining the talent for a longer period of time. A very famous quote, which Jimmy, who's the CEO of JPMC said, I don't like to outsource my spinal cord, my heart, my brain, right? So, tech is now starting to become like that. And people who have realized this, that Silicon Valley is coming, don't want to outsource it, right? Now, so, the challenge we see now, and this is not a challenge probably in India today, some organizations have realized this. Some are on the journey of probably doing realization in the couple of years. But globally, the challenge we now see is that, you have different type of clouds. And the real challenge is, okay, how can I, which is our in-house technology team, have a consistent experience across these, right? Because now these cloud providers now have their own, I would say complete lockdown barrel approach. And they kind of, it's like an India-Pakistan scenario now, right? So they kind of not talk to each other so often. And that's the approach VMware is taking here is, we are kind of becoming like, the Android who can sit across multiple clouds, right? And that's the approach, VMware is taken. And how do we do that? Well, the first instance for you to think through this is when you are thinking of creating your product, right, in your community, the thing here, which is, of course, you need to be more of in-house. Even if you outsource development, yeah, the design thinking, the product launch, etc., kind of have to be kind of in-house, more, more iterative, designed for failure so that you never have downtimes. And that's the lingo we use in the modern technology world called microservices architecture, right? And a lot of this is, of course, open source. So you kind of don't rely on proprietary softwares to which then can become a bottleneck for you in a couple of years or 3 years down the line. So that's the one step, right? That you need to have a culture and you need to have a methodology. Partial outsource. We don't see complete outsource model here. A couple of banks we see who launched digital banks in Singapore and Hong Kong, for example, took a hybrid approach. That's a step-by-step approach, and eventually kind of take the whole tech stack if the product does become successful. We do see failures. It's not we don't see failures. And I know people like to talk about success, but a classical example of RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland, when they launched their digital product, it kind of failed, right? JPMC launched their digital product, not successful, right? So you have to hence, bite at it in smaller chunks, and that's the first approach. The second thing, which is kind of a summary of that, is you see the software thing. Zerodha has Kite, and they have done an amazing job in building their IP. Now this is their IP. Now we see that in the capital market, in the banking industry, everybody's trying to own this IP, and it practically cuts across these 4 layers, right? I know larger organizations can't have the culture change. The new trend we see is people are now creating a different organization, a different entity, and let them run on their own. That's a new trend we see in financial industries today. You look at Standard Chartered. They have their own venture firm. They operate independently. They hire developers independently, and they don't even know about anything about banking, for example, right? And kind of that helps them take care of the process piece, because that's the new agile way of dealing it with up. And kind of selecting the tools. A lot of this is open source. A lot of this is ensuring that you can have a continuous loop cycle, improve frequently, and deliver the software updates for our end customers, which in the end, that's the whole mindset in this example, right? Now, what you see on the bottom piece is where is the decision making typically, which kind of gets shallowed away, and that's the problem statement we see now. Is okay, in the banking or capital markets community, we have different type of workloads which will sit on cloud. Think of it as, you might have a cybersecurity application, you might have an AI ML application doing robo advisory. So you'll have different sort of products which you will create and you will run on cloud. And every cloud has its own advantages, be it Amazon, be it Azure, Google, etc. And the problem we see is we see a world where every enterprise, every capital market, every financial institutions are going to have multiple clouds. They're not going to have, their own private cloud. In India, a lot of banking institutions have adopted this. If I have to state public names, NPCI has that one, for example, right? So, so you have private clouds, but you also have public clouds. And then that's how you kind of create a consistent model. And public cloud could be, any public cloud today. And I think if I have to, I'm not given justice to the logos on this particular slide, but these are the top ones which, globally are recognized and do have presence in India. Okay. And that's the interesting piece, right? Because if you as a broker have to decide, okay, which cloud should I go to? A lot of the design, principles will have to be, okay, the team, the skill sets, the culture, the product, in-house, outsource, etc., etc. Right? Once you have done that from a platform perspective, from a VMware point of view, the way we partner with these organizations, right, is, looking at different layers of cloud. Okay. While we say cloud is simple, cloud is not complex, it becomes complex as and when you have more products, or, you launch across multiple platforms, etc. right? And I think if I have to kind of nudge you down across two critical aspects specifically for capital market would be, a consistent security and a consistent developer experience for your team to create products on any cloud, right? That would be my top two callouts. We have worked with, because of COVID, worked with organizations also to kind of give a consistent employee experience across multiple clouds, right? And that's how kind of everybody started working from home, as soon as COVID hit, right? And a lot of that it can be done through various technologies as well. Not that I'm saying we are the only one doing it, but from a mindset perspective, these are the two aspects again, which is security and developer experience. So this is where the product is created. This is where you want your developer to not care about where I run the the broking app or the product, etc., on any of these public cloud providers, right? With that in mind, I thought let me give you some proof points, and we see this again globally in APJ. One point of contention I can provide you here is that DBS publicly, which is the Development Bank of Singapore, wants it to be the digital bank of Singapore, right? It is recognized globally as one of the Asia's and probably even globally one of the best digital banks. And one of the stated business goal, Piyush Gupta, who is the CEO of DBS, has said is we want to be a 29,000 people startup company, right? So that's the change in mindset we see, and hence, cloud becomes a derivative product of that mindset, where the banks would want to compete against the likes of DBS has this acronym called Gandalf, where every letter of Gandalf is, think of it as a giant in itself. Google, Alphabet, Netflix, DBS is itself, etc., right? So if the work we are doing globally with the top 10 organizations, if I have to kind of give you that mindset, is we kind of help them create products via APIs, by kind of partnering with fintechs. We help them provide the security which enterprise needs, right, in the regulatory world where we live in, respective of the countries where we are, and that's kind of the stuff we see. And if you ask us, in an enterprise, we see, in a banking world, we see at least 3 to 4 cloud providers who exist today, in existence today, and they will continue to do so, right? So the real challenge we now see is, how do I manage this? Think of this as RBI acknowledging the fact that in India you have multiple bank accounts, and now you need account aggregators to give you that view, right? So think of us, becoming like that, and kind of helping enterprises solve this cloud puzzle, and be the Android layer, on top of every different cloud providers. With that, this is towards the end of my slide, right? And if you have to ask me, that okay, so how do we what next, right? I mean, it's great. We should do it. Companies in India are trying to do it. A lot of companies have success stories around it. A lot of companies, however, have not so success stories around it. And from a VMware point of view, if you ask me, this is not a VMware point of view. This is more of an industry point of view. There is an industry, consortium called the Linux Foundation, which is essentially backed by all the open source community providers. They have a sub project under them called Open Alliance for Cloud Adoption. It's a non-profit, alliance, which gives every organization now a framework and a maturity model for you to go towards, where you see on the left-hand side to all the way on the right-hand side, which is essentially the cloud. And a lot of this is not possible without the people and the culture, right? And this is hence, extremely important. Projects fail because of this, and even if we as technology provider kind of give you the best product, it may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? So that's kind of my short out slide. And again, think of it in this way that security is something which will again sit on cloud, right? So the whole cyber security. So every workload or every application we consume today in our daily lives invariably will actually move to cloud. If not today, probably 5 years down the line. And that's the piece, from the back end on the technology aspect, we need to be mindful of, be prepared for it, and be ready for it, right? Even blockchain for that matter, right? Blockchain is nothing but a cube apps would somewhere run on a cloud infrastructure, right? So So cloud is coming, cloud is real, but it's not that it's only public cloud. It's going to be private cloud. It's going to be hybrid cloud, and that's the world VMware sees it. Yeah. With that, I'm done. If you have questions, let me know. My Twitter handle is on the slide deck. If you want to catch up later, do some ideation. Happy to do that in free time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bex, for your wonderful presentation. You rightly said people and culture are very much important. And your message is that when you are talking about cloud, you can outsource some of your jobs, but not the vital items. And you also quoted an example that you cannot outsource your heart or brain, but you can outsource some of the other items. Rightly said. And your message also that your people have to go for a step-by-step approach or a hybrid approach. And also another important statement that we want to be a 29,000 people startup company, a very, very bright statement. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Bugs. Ladies and gentlemen, today now I am Krishnamurthy. I am going from faculty from National Institute of Securities Markets. Before we close the conference, I will just sum up the proceedings of the conference. I'm sure you had a very fantastic FinTech Friday today, and all of you have enjoyed the proceedings. To sum up, we started the day today by a presentation by Dr. Muralidharan on whether big data is a boon or ban. He quoted, he shared his experience starting from 1994 with 5 lakh transactions to today in 2020 with the 2 lakh transactions per day second and 4 billion transactions per day. From 5 lakh transactions to 4 billion transactions per day, a huge phenomenal change. He also mentioned about the various tools and processes being used by exchanges and intermediaries in the securities markets to how to convert big data into useful information for analysis and for taking decisions. This was followed up by a wonderful presentation by Mr. Palanimalai Jayaraman. He threw up his insights on cyber securities. He was talking about ransomware, cyber attacks in Bangladesh Bank, Saudi Aramco, and also including the SEC attack that happened in 2016, but detected way back in 2017. So that was very important. He also stressed more on people, process, and technology. And he also sent a message that organizations can outsource some part of the work, but accountability cannot be outsourced as far as cybersecurity is concerned. We had the same message on the cloud computing also. So the message goes that don't outsource everything, but the core should lie with the organization, and the entire, not only the IT team, the entire organization will be responsible for cybersecurity. Rightly said, Mr. Jayaraman. And we also had a very, very wonderful panel discussions, steps change through FinTech innovation. Dr. Muralidharan had set the context, and Mr. Sankarshan Banerjee explained how step-through innovations can be implemented in the banking industry, and he shared his experience that banks initially resisted FinTech, but have realized that they can enter into partnerships with FinTech companies to provide service to customers. Yes, we also had seen that actually the message was that partnership is the way forward. And we had wonderful deliberations from Mr. Nitin Kamath. He said credibility and trust is very important in the stockbroking business. Apart from technology, the new kinds of experiences and learning platforms like Varsities have been introduced by him. That is both execution and education. He also mentioned that they want to introduce an engine called a Nudge, which is just like an Alexa, an assistant in the trading platform, which will help investors to take decisions that can bring behavioral change in the investors. That is to tell people whether they are making losses or whether they are making profits, and change their decisions making accordingly. And he also sent a message to the broking community. There should be a shift from execution to advisory. That is, brokers have two routes, either tech first or advisory first. They cannot take. This was the message from Mr. Nitin Kamath. He said that since margins are so less in tech first business, so people, there may be going down the line, there may be consolidations in the broking industry. He also appreciated the SEBI's initiative on peak margins. That means the margining system that has been brought over by SEBI is very much appreciated. And he also talked about mis-selling and also to create credibility in the industry. And the right message, one important message was that from Mr. Nitin was that good practices prevent investors from leaving the markets. Apart from that, we had wonderful insights from Dr. Paresh Nath Paul. He explained how real-time analysis of big data works in exchanges and how decision-making is done by exchanges to detect frauds, to take surveillance, to monitor, to ensure regulatory compliances with the use of artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. He said, fintech innovation is not a step-through process, but a leap jump. And we also had wonderful presentations by Mr. Baksh also on cloud advantage in the capital markets. Now it is a time for the thank you note. I would like to thank Mr. S.K. Mohandi, Director NISM and Registrar NISM, Mr. Sunil Katam for guiding us for this wonderful CapTech conference. And I will also like to especially thank Dr. V.R. Narasimhan and Dr. N. Muralidharan. The entire conference is the brainchild. Actually, it's the brainchild of both these gentlemen. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I also would like to thank Seetal and Swati from the marketing team for making this entire conference to happen. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank my team, NISM, my marketing team, and also my colleagues, Bhavesh, Amir, and everyone to make this conference a fantastic affair. Last but not the least, the participants that have made this entire conference wonderful and very lively. I also would like to thank all the speakers who had spent their time, who had shared their valuable insights with us. Thank you so much. Thank you for making this CapTech NISM NSE IT CapTech conference a wonderful thing and a very successful one. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you in the forthcoming events of NISM. Thank you. Thanks a lot. With this, we are coming to the conclusion of this program.